Today it is snowing, cold, and so I thought it might be a good day to do a tour of our old Swedish barn. It's still standing after many decades, so whoever built this did a really good job. It's quite a typical Swedish barn from what I've seen around. You've got a concrete part that used to be for where the animals were, and the rest a wooden part which maybe it was to store hay or use for woodwork or maybe wood storage. So let's go inside and check it out. Well, here we are at the front door. There is some exit for electric power here. I think it's a 3-phase connection, so some pretty powerful tools were being used. Perhaps a sawmill or the likes. I know there's also an electricity cable going down to our chicken coop, which is right there. It's going through the ground. And it is getting electricity from our main electric box that's all the way over there. It's a long cable going through the ground, bringing electricity to here. We certainly have electricity. All right, let's go inside. First thing when you come inside, it's rather dark, but I'm gonna switch the light on here. You'll see a bit better. But you've got these very old switches that you have to turn. Now, let me get you closer and you can see. So you actually have to turn the switch to switch it on and off. Caroline actually thinks they're quite nice switches. I myself think they're absolutely horrible, especially in a country where you wear thick gloves all the time to get your fingers in between to then grab the switch to then also turn it at the same time. It's a difficult job. We've got one down in the cellar, but inside the house I'm not wearing gloves, so it's easy. But in here it's terrible. I had one in the chicken coop which I switched to a normal switch. Just one that you go press, click, click. And here we've got our electricity box. Got 4 fuses, and as far as I know only one is being used. So plenty of connections that I can still make, which is pretty cool because there's a lot of machinery that I want to be using in here in the future. And of course some nice leftover tools which I spoke about in our tour of the house video, that the Swedes always leave a lot of stuff, and they certainly did in the barn as well. So our first door to the left is the growing room. At least that's where the animals used to be kept and what we turned into a growing room. So let's have a look what that looks like at the moment. Sorry for the mess, it's an ongoing project, as everything is. The first thing to your right is where you kept all the old windows. There was loads more. We've used a lot for the chicken coop and our porch and the sheep barn. And then next to that we have the old feeding trough. This was for cows, and that's where they used to stand, where we've got now tables and our growing stuff lying around, plus our hay baler. And then behind it you see this ditch here. It's where the pee and the poop used to go into this poop chute, which then goes down into where we currently have the sheep barn. I'm assuming that little door there is for where he would scoop any extra poop that wouldn't go down the chute. There, up there, you can see the LED lights that we have for growing, and there is the heat pump which I just switched on since the growing season is about to start. It's end of January right now, and we want to get a lot of things going in February already, so time to get the chill out of the room. Oh, here you can see some hay below the heat pump, and that's where we're keeping some sick sheep over the winter. And to our left to our very glad surprise, a water pipe, which is actually coming from the house. When we tried to connect it and switched on the water pump that I'd connected to it, it actually burst the pipe. It's that old and rusty, so there's a big hole in it now. I've bought some stuff to fix it and I should get on that soon. Once that is fixed, then there's two hoses which both have electric heat cables inside of them, which go through the ditch into the poop chute to the sheep barn and are connected to water heads down there. Once I've got that hole fixed in the pipe, we will be having water flowing automatically to the sheep and we won't be having to haul any more watering cans, which will be absolutely magical. There's also a very old woodworking machine. I forgot the name of it. I'm not familiar with most terms for machines, but I do know what it was for, and that's that on one side you'd have a block of wood attached, and then this motor would spin that around, and then you would carve that wood into a nice table leg with, I don't know if it was one of these things or whatever tools you would use to carve it with, but that's how you make ornamental table legs or chair legs and things like that. Whether it's still functional, I'm sure you could make it functional. There is still a cable attached to it, but I don't think right now it would start. I'd really have to look into that. Could be worth doing something with. It's certainly quite a nice machine if you want to get into woodwork. Well, behind me you got the door we came in. If you can see above me, we've got this insulation foil to keep the heat in that we started installing last season. And we kind of want to do the same on the walls to build a insulation layer. Whether we're going to do that with rock wool or more insulation foil really depends on the price. Would love to do it with sheep wool, but you're not going to get very far with the wool of 4 sheep. You're going to need a bigger flock for that. The area between the troughs, the feeding troughs and the ditch, it's a decent area. The idea for that is actually to build a partition so that we can have any sheep in need that need the warmth, or when they start lambing, it's still very cold outside, or we go through a cold spell, and we can put them in this room, because here the heat pump will be going anyway, so this will be a nice warm place for them to be safe and happy. And they've got feeding troughs already there, so that also solves that problem. So all I need to do is really just make a partition for the sheep to be in safely and not to be able to get out and start eating all the plants that we are growing. Yeah, other than that, you can see there's many cracks in the walls. I mean, this is an old barn. It's probably just as old as the house, which we guess is from around the 40s, judging by the style of the house and the fact that the water tank in there is from 1949. But they certainly did a good job with it, because it's still standing after all these decades. You might be thinking to yourself, isn't it a shame to turn this animal room into a growing area, since you've already got a place set up with a feeding trough and everything, even old water heads and probably a water connection that I could set up again. But to be honest, this for now, we needed a growing area to start the season early, which was more important for us, and I managed to turn the back of the barn into the sheep living space for them already, so it actually worked out alright. In the future, if we are going to have bigger animals such as cows, then I would actually build a Did I hear a thump? Ah, jeetje. Oef. Kom je naar binnen? Ja. Oh my god. Okay, well, this little one scared me a little bit, and I'll tell you why, because there's one part in the barn that creeps me out. Well, we'll go there next, so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Yeah, the finish of the story, if we're ever gonna have bigger animals or a bigger flock of sheep, which we do plan to have in the future, then the best thing for us, I think, would be to build a cool new barn for them. Okay, let's go to... Shall we go upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go have a look upstairs. Alright. It's a really beautifully built barn. Really sturdy. Yeah, and when we bought the place, this was full of wood. And as you can see, it still is. But I've used so much of it already. Right now, drying floor joists Lots of other things were found here. Electricity cables, pipes, and lots of other leftover wood bits. And then you've got actually quite a nice overview of the barn here from above. That's planks I've cut recently that I was going to use for the barn extension. And then on the other side you see again another raised area where we're keeping like things like old mattresses, and a trampoline is lying there. I think there's an old rubber dinghy, and as you can see we're missing one plank there that blew off in the last storm, and I see now is letting in a lot of snow, so I need to fix that. Okay, back to this area. We come to the part of why I find it so creepy up here. And we're already getting the goosebumps, because when we moved in here, on this table there was this little mirror in a box and this chandelier for candles in front of it. I don't know in this giant barn why all the way up here in this dark corner, because you can see that there's a light there, there's no light here just from the window, but it is pretty dark in this corner. Why would you have a little area with, I don't know, I can only assume was for children, or but why do they have a chandelier there? I don't know. And even creepier was that right behind it, which you can't see so well, we have not even moved it, but right behind it on the other side of this thing was a dead bird. You can still see this dark patch there. Now I don't know, but neither me or Caroline moved that bird, so I can only take it that some animal did it. We do have a cat, so that would make sense. I would find it amazing though that he came all the way up here, but then again, he is quite an adventurous, he's becoming quite an adventurous cat. Next to that was also an old little cot for, I guess a toy baby, I wouldn't say a real one. And then we also have a very old pram standing here, which again, it probably doesn't give me the creeps as much as the little mirror with the chandelier, but I don't know. I mean, this is decades old. The last time that there was kids around there, I think, is from the lady who we bought the place from, and she is in her 70s now. So this is ancient. Now Caroline says this doesn't creep her out. However, she has not moved it. It's still here. So that makes me think a little bit that perhaps it does creep her out a bit. Anyway, we have not had any paranormal experiences here yet. I do believe in ghosts, but with a strong emphasis on belief, since I've never seen or experienced anything paranormal myself, really. So I wouldn't be able to tell you that ghosts exist for a fact. Okay, what here? Got an old chimney that goes down into the growing room. So there is a hole there in the growing room where we could put a fireplace. Not very well insulated, so or closed off, so the snow does come in here, and that's why we've got a pot there for when it rains and it drips down in there. Shall we go back downstairs, Amber?
Yeah.
Yes, so the steps up, eh? Okay, we've made it safely down the stairs from that creepy corner. I'm not that scared of it, but it does creep me out. I don't know why, probably giving myself the creeps more than anything else. It's probably got a very innocent backstory just of kids playing up there, but like I said, so far in the corner of a barn, untouched for decades, because those kids haven't lived here for 7 decades, perhaps, something like that. And the last man that lived there, he He was part of the family, but he lived there alone. He didn't have any kids around here, so I don't know. Well, what are you doing with that place then? You know, he was using it for storing wood, but he also never moved it. If anybody has any insights to why it is that way, please feel free to let me know. So when we come down the stairs, behind me, we've got this room here, which currently we're using for all our petrol and diesel storage. But we're gonna go have a little look because there's something else in there which perhaps also some of you can figure out for me what that is. You coming, Andre?
Yeah.
Okay. See, there we got all our jerry cans and all that. And left loads of wood behind, like we said. These are really nice planks, thick planks. And then here in this corner we have what is now something it's filled with sand. I don't know if you can see it in the dark, but there's an old round scoop here, like almost like a wok attached to the handle, and it's full of sand in here. But I do know that this is connected with like a water pipe that goes to the wall to the other side, which is where the feeding troughs are. I think, however, that water pipe is coming from the feeding troughs into here, which then I don't know what it would have been used for, to be honest. I don't know. It's a concrete basin, and right now there's sand in it, for which I don't know why he has the sand in here. I'm assuming that perhaps maybe he was keeping some vegetables in here. Perhaps this was his root vegetable storage. Other than that, you just find stuff everywhere that's left behind. If you ever think of buying something, the first thing you need to do is go have a look in the barn and make sure you don't already have it. Okay, then we turn to the left, and what do we have here? We've got two nice chest freezers that we brought in ourselves. One is full of our food and the other one is still empty, but soon we'll be putting in more meat, and well, the end of next season, growing season, there's going to be lots of vegetables in there as well. We've got all the snow blower, wood chipper, lawn mower business here. Roofing was left behind. Lots of stuff. We can talk for hours of all the things that were left behind. Then here we've got a little back room where we had garden tools and fishing stuff, which we've kind of turned into just a temporary storage for things that we needed to get rid of. I needed to get out of the way. Some fishing nets there, and a good rake hanging up there, and other tools for working in the dirt. So, nice little space to put things away in. So in some of our previous videos you could see that we had, in our earlier videos, that we had our sawmill inside here, which was always going to be a temporary thing, and we moved it out not too long ago, and thank God we did, because this barn started to move. Now the concrete part didn't, of course. That is staying, even though there's lots of cracks in it, but there were already lots of cracks. But the wooden part, it's not really attached, at least on the ground level, to the concrete part. The whole ceiling is, so that's not going to be ripped apart anytime soon, I would say, because these are massive beams that it's being held together by. But all these vibrations from the sawmill was certainly moving the barn more and more, up to a point that when I went and raised the barn, since it had sunk so much, which you can see in our third vlog, one where I almost got crushed by a barn. You can see that as I'm raising it, and when I go underneath it, that quite a lot of the supports were at a diagonal angle, and I realized that we actually were very close to this place just going boom. Pretty scary. Perhaps it wouldn't have done. I mean, you don't know. This thing has been here for decades again, and it's always moving because of the ground freezing and thawing and freezing and thawing. For now, I'm happy that the heavy machinery is out, and hopefully it will not be shaken about as much anymore, so that the whole place starts to sink again. Down here will be the main woodwork space for me. It's a nice big space, and once I got the barn extension finished on that side, then I can have these big doors open here as well. so that any wood that I mill outside on the sawmill can then dry and then be brought inside for me to then work on and make it into whatever I need it to be. It is not insulated, so in winter it's extremely cold. That's something that I'm gonna have to work on though, because it's some place that you would like to be able to work all year round in. At least to start to make it windproof would already be good, because as you can see it's just one layer of planks, and so I could put the one on the outside to close off the gaps at least. Start with that. That would already make it feel a little bit cozier. Then we have one more place to check out up here. That's the upstairs I was showing you from the other side. And after that we can go down to the sheep barn. We can go up the stairs and have a quick look. Perhaps it was for storing hay, but then again, phew, it's certainly not big enough for all the hay you need for your animals here in the winter. Well, like I said, there's the old trampoline, some old cabinets. Our skis are standing there. There's some very old skis. These are mainly skis for walking in the snow. These are not for real downhill skiing, but there's, yeah, now I've got the more modern, modern is in the 80s, 90s maybe, but there's the real old school wooden ski standing there. Really nice, a whole bunch, adults and kids. And as you can see, it's snowing in now. It's not only because of that gap that it's snowing in. I mean, the big gap of course is letting more snow in than other gaps, but there's also snow there, and that's of course coming through the normal gaps that are here or between the planks. Yeah, and there we have the view from the other side of the barn. As you can imagine, when we walked into this place the first time, it felt absolutely gigantic to us. And it still does. But you fill it up quickly with stuff. If you're putting big machines and store wood, it does go quick. But I don't think we'll ever run out of space here. But for us little city folk living in small apartments, this was quite a gigantic space. Okay, Amber. Shall we go to the sheep barn?
Yeah, what's this?
Ja, die mag je meenemen. You can take that with you. Okay, let's switch off the light. It doesn't go, of course, in one smooth move. Ah, yeah. So not easy with a bad shoulder. Look at this. It's snowing lots. Big flakes. Okay. Close the lock. Look at that. Beautiful. There'll be lots of snow today.
Yeah.
Okay, take a walk around the outside of the barn. You can see there we just walked past one of these massive cracks that I talked about, which was already there when we moved in, so I'm assuming that it's an old crack and I have not seen it get worse yet. There we've got the outside of the heat pump. There again, another huge crack going down the wall, which I feel has gotten a little bit bigger. So that is maybe a bit worrying, that one, especially since it's right on the corner. And it was big already when we bought the place, but goodness me, it's, I don't know, something that will have to be dealt with maybe this coming summer. Okay, then we come out to the side of the barn. Now, actually, this used to be, I don't know, what is that called? An outdoor toilet? An outhouse? I can see if I can get up this little hill here. We can have a look. It's just a little bit slippery with the snow. Hold on, let's get this lock open. Okay. Sinking away in the snow here. Yeah, you can see I've covered up the holes with planks because to stop the draft, cold draft coming in by the sheep. But But yeah, this was the old poop house. You can maybe see from the old calendars what year it was from. Let's see. 1988. Maybe the last time this was used. Okay, well, there's a calendar from 2006. Interesting. I mean, when did they build a toilet in that house then? Oh, well, when we didn't come in here, and there was a lot of human waste down below, so it certainly had been used, but we've gotten rid of that since. We're also trying to come into the poop house. Let's go back to the sheep barn, shall we? Yeah?
I'm going to the poop house.
You want to go in the poop house? You can put the light on in the poop house. Yeah, you can see a bit better, but it's also very far away from the house. A long walk to make in the winter. But I think this was maybe only used anyway as a summer place back then, so perhaps that's why it didn't matter that it was far away. Okay, we got down from there. Now this whole barn was also coming forward out the way, so we also and it sunk down, and this concrete wall really came just falling out almost, so I knocked it out myself to make sure that it would never fall on anybody, especially the children, and replaced it with wood. So right now it's level and sturdy, so pretty is something else, but it's functional. And here are the sheepies. Hello sheepies. You all happy here? Yeah. Now there you can see one of the windows that we reused. And there are the water heads that I was talking about that are attached to the hoses with electric heating cables inside of them. And they are coming through the old poop chute right there. There, the boys. Oh, boys. Hey. Hey. Hello. Yeah, so this I completely built myself, the first floor and all the walls and the feeding troughs. Up there we have the hay storage. If you want to see what it used to look like, then you can go back to vlog 4 and see how I built this one. I got a bit of a time lapse for that one. Was quite proud of myself building this. Wat zei je, lieverd? Wil je binnen bij de schaapjes? Oké. Go with the sheepies. So there you have it, folks. As you can see, a very big barn, but quite usual to see those up here, it seems, now that we've lived here longer. In the beginning we thought we were very special with our gigantic barn, but they're actually quite common. However, for us it is massive, and we're really happy with it, that it's well built and lasted through the ages, and that we still can use it as a proper building. We of course have lots of plans for it, and certainly needs a lot of work to keep it up and to make it a bit more insulated and more comfortable to work in. But for now it will do. Hope you enjoyed the tour. If you did, please like and leave a comment and even subscribe. Thank you very much.